This is gonna be cool.
The topics and opinions expressed on the Dudes and Beer podcast are intended for an audience of 18 and up and are solely those of the host and guests. They neither reflect the opinions or values of either the sponsors of Dudes and Beer or your mother. I mean, seriously. Have you ever heard these guys? They'll talk about anything.
Whoa, hey, you think they're gonna show it? They'll probably just blur it out. Whoa, check it out, Beavis.
Grab your beverages and turn up your interweb. Solving the world's problems 12 ounces at a time. It's Dudes and Beer. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the super awesome live episode. Yes, super awesome live episode. Absolutely. We have had an incredible weekend of it, guys. I am here in Katy, Texas with my brother Randy, here in his lair at the Jordan compound. And here in just a minute, whenever we come back from break, we are going to be talking about the wide world of comic books. We've just spent the entire weekend, or just doing comic book stuff, getting ready for the show, going out, seeing X-Men, Apocalypse, all kind of stuff. So whenever we come back from this quick commercial break from our sponsor, we will be talking about our amazing day here in Houston at the 2016 Space City Comicon. Do you love Halloween? Do you like DIY projects? ScaryDad.com is your one-stop shop for everything DIY, from projects and food recipes to book and movie reviews, as well as the awesomely awesome Scary Dad podcast. Halloween is not just a day on the calendar. It's a state of mind. So don't sit around wondering what you're going to do this holiday season. Log on to ScaryDad.com to join the mailing list. Get the latest ScaryDad.com news and updates, from projects and DIY videos to recipes and reviews. It's everything you've ever wanted in a DIY website and more. So stop on by and visit them online today. That's ScaryDad.com. Once again, that website is ScaryDad.com. And we are back. Yes, I am Chris Jordan, your host. With me, as always, whenever I'm here in Houston, is my good and awesome older brother, Randy.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, man. So, we just had an absolutely amazing... The con! I'm telling you, dude, it was so much fun. Oh, my God. The entire weekend has just been a blast. I just came off a crazy amount of work in Orlando, and just to go out and have this much fun over the last couple days has been amazing.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Good time.
Yeah, I mean, I started off, of course, probably about Thursday. I actually went to my storage unit in Austin. I called you on my way there.
Yep.
And it's a couple blocks away from my house, and I live right on a pretty steep hill. And I literally went, and I was going to rifle through my long box that was in storage, and it was like, man, I can't even do that. Like, I can't, like, I've got to give this the right amount of attention. I've got to actually, like, sit down with this and enjoy it. Like, doing it in a storage unit just doesn't do it for me. So,
No.
yeah, I actually, like, hiked this long box completely full of comics for like a mile and a half back to my house, just huffing it up this massive hill, just like, dodging traffic across the street with this long box. Like, it was a mission of missions.
Oh man, that must have been an awesome sight.
It was harrowing. It was, how much I like carrying stuff.
Right, this tall, lanky dude hauling this
long box of
dingy old, 30-year-old long box,
dude. That, like, part of the bottom's like giving way. I'm like I literally had to hold it like this crazy rifle. Like, in order to, like, keep the lid on, I tried carrying it long ways, and I'm, like, waddling up the road like a penguin. I'm like, yeah, this isn't working, bro.
Oh, too funny. Too funny.
And it was in those shoes that were all torn up from my gig. Like, I still haven't bought new shoes. So I was wearing these shoes that were completely, like, duck flapping on the back heels on both of them. Just, like, flip-flops while I'm walking up the hill.
Nice. Yeah.
It was epically awesome.
Right.
Epic. So those are the pains and pangs through which we go for the con.
That's right.
Con.
They couldn't have been as flappy as those Saurus shoes over there
Yeah,
from last year's
I know.
con.
That's what I love about this room. Like, we are just surrounded by memorabilia, like, you know, props that we've made for other Comic-Cons, you know, like our laser guns over there in the corner.
Right.
You know, all this artwork, everything else. And that's what we're here to talk about. You know, we talk about it a lot whenever I'm here in Houston with Randy and Billy. Billy, unfortunately, is not here. He's out seeing, was it Flogging Molly, I believe, tonight with his wonderful wife.
Yep.
You guys have fun. Prost, L'chaim. Enjoy
Cheers.
one for dudes and beer while y'all are there.
That's right. Or
yeah.
2 or 5.
Miss Meg and Billy. And we invited Bob Camacho, a new friend. I've been following Nerds of Anarchy on Facebook. For those of you out there that are into this kind of stuff, into this scene, into cosplay, Comic-Cons, comics, movies, just anything nerddom, sincerely go check out the Nerds of Anarchy page. Bob Camacho is the guy that runs that, and it's absolutely great. It's a great community of people, really supportive. We all kind of share our stories of treasures that we find, and,
Right,
you know,
right.
just our general geekdom.
Well, you know, that's been something that I've enjoyed. You know, I liked that page, I don't know, a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And here in preparation for this convention this weekend, I had, you know, watching Billy, I watched Billy, you know, as he posted stuff on Facebook. He's become quite the comic book hunter, you know, looking for different, you know, books that fit within different themes of his life, you know, like stuff that was printed on his birthday or came out, you know, his birth year, month or whatever.
That's my favorite quest of his right now. And I'm thinking about taking it up myself, finding all my favorite comics from the year of my birth.
August 75.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
That'd be...
But watching him go through all of that, and you know, that's something that, you know, I've got. I don't know how many boxes I've got. 14, 13 here, and I think another box somewhere. You know, short boxes of comics that I collected over the course of probably really only about 6 years.
Yeah. There was really only a good 6 or 7 year period there in the 90s where we were like, you were much more hardcore than I was. You had a job,
right?
Like I was sacking groceries. You were selling tires and oil changes. Like you had a job. You got spiff checks, and I remember there was many a spiff check that went to Musabel's bookstore.
Right.
That was like, yep, I'm getting all of it this month.
Right. Well, we talked about that on a previous podcast. You know, all that was like the boom of speculator comic collecting.
Yeah.
And, you know, these were all characters that I grew up with as a kid. And like you said, I had disposable income.
Yep.
Or thought I did anyway. So, you know, I got into enjoying reading the comics, and one thing led to another, and soon, you're buying everything.
Yeah.
And granted, a lot of stuff just because it was the thing to buy.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a holographic cover. Well, I'm going to get 2 of those.
I need to make sure to get 2 of those so I can read one, curl the cover, and, you know, have another one to keep. And we've talked about that before. We've also talked about the comics that got both of us into it. Like, for me, even last night, going through your short boxes and running across those Italian comics that we've mentioned before that Dad got us in Italy on his business trip. Like, those were next to those Transformer comics from Aunt Kathy that I could read because they were in English. Mm-hmm. Those were my first real exposure to Superman, like, you know, Spider-Man comics, X-Men, you know, everything else. And to me, it's a point of pride that X-Men 234 cover with Wolverine infected by the Brood, like, that image is like etched in my mind. That was one of the first comic book covers that I ever saw as a kid. So for me, it was like, oh my God. And now for me to have like Chris Claremont and Joseph Rubinstein's signature on the front of that.
Right.
That was one of the first comics I ever bought that, had already come out long before, and I found it and I was like, oh my God, it's the English version of that comic book. I've got to get it.
Right.
I think I paid like $3 for it, like back in 92 or 93 at a comic convention, but yeah, it was one of those that was like, man, and now to have it, but even just going through the boxes it's a giddy thrill, it's literally like hopping in a time machine for your brain. Like,
right.
They just recently released that, like, music is one of the only things that, like, engages all your senses. Like, you'll hear a song and, like, you'll smell what you were eating, things like that. And it's a true synesis of the brain. And, like, comics are like that to me. The smell of them whenever I open it, whenever I look at it. Like,
right. I got that last night, opening some of these up to look at the, splash pages inside and stuff. And it's like, after it's been sitting in a, it's been sitting in a Mylar sleeve for 20 years.
Mylar UV protective acid-free sleeve.
Right. Acid-free, backer boards and stuff. And then opening the book after it's sat in there for 20 years. It's just,
and hearing it.
Right.
Like hearing it open, like.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, those pages are still crisp.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
back to what I was saying, watching Billy go through that whole process and everything, and then going through the books and stuff last night.
Yep.
I can't, there's stuff we talk about all the time that's, huge in the media and stuff. And, the X-Men movies have been out now for 15 years. And
yep. Spider-Man for almost 20.
Spider-Man for just as long, since 2000 or whatever. And the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, all the stuff that's mainstream, but going through and finding some of the not mainstream stuff that I collected and read was even more. I don't know. I've read hundreds of different X-Men books.
Yeah.
Okay. So they all kind of tend to blur together unless it's just something really super special and memorable.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, your brain can't categorize them all, but when I was going through stuff and, I'd see some of the things that I, after a few years, had started to evolve into and started to spend time with more independent comic publishers, like Valiant.
Exactly.
I started looking at all those titles, and I'm like, man, I really enjoyed those.
Yeah.
And those aren't, although they're coming out with some Valiant movies they've announced here in the next couple of years.
Really?
Bloodshot.
Really?
Bloodshot, and I think maybe Harbinger.
I could see a Harbinger movie, most definitely, because that was a really good storyline. And I mean, it was interesting actually sitting there today because Valiant is one of the only comic companies I've ever seen at a con that has a table with an active salesperson.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd seen that. But
they're telling you like what the new stuff's about and everything else.
Right. Now that's immediate. We walked in. First thing you walk onto Artist Row. Yeah. When you walk through the front doors. Yes.
Which was nice about that arrangement. I really liked that. Like that main aisle.
You walk down the main aisle and there's all the cosplay people.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of. There were cosplay people around.
Yeah, there were a few.
Too.
Yeah, there were a few Star Trek fleets right there. There's the 501st Battle Wing for the Empire was there.
Yeah, I mean there were
the fighting 7081, I believe it is, the Cobra Command post here in Houston.
Yeah, and their costumes were tight.
Oh my God, they were so tight, dude. Intense. Oh my God,
that was some serious money. All these Cobra forces.
Oh my God, dude, Destro was just so dope.
Yeah.
Destro. If you want to see pictures, guys, please stop on by dudesandbeer.com. I've been posting pictures on Photo Bucket all day. They're all there under photos. Go down to Space City Comicon 2016, and you will see all the photos that I took today. Randy got a nice photo bomb in with Boba Fett.
Right,
that was sharp.
Bomb the Fett.
There were some good pictures with Juliet and Batgirl with Jack Skellington, like this 9-foot tall Jack Skellington that was there.
That was a sweet.
That was great.
Sweet cosplay.
And it's so nice because back in the day, back in the 90s, whenever we went to shows, and there was Smooth a mini con going on every other month in Houston at the time, in the heyday of comics. And there's a big revival going on now, and it's great to see that mini cons are popping up, just meetups are popping up because of social media. And, you know, to see this world of cosplay come about and to see it happen, you know, to see it develop into what it is now is absolutely amazing. Like, I love going and seeing all the costumes and, like, the heart and soul that people have put into this.
Right.
Like the, what was it, the Andarian today?
Andorian.
Andorian.
Oh
yeah,
my
there's
God,
this Andorian from Star Trek, like walking around with a bucket of KFC chicken,
dressed up like Colonel Sanders, but with blue paint and the blue antenna. Oh my God!
And the white hair.
That's actually among all the cosplay stuff, you know. And we'll talk about cosplay for a second because you know, I love the mashups.
Yeah.
I love the magic. There was a Little Mermaid. There was an Ariel there.
Oh yeah,
with a trident made out of lightsabers.
Yeah,
that was sweet. Green lightsabers. You know, that's you can walk in and see people walking around with a $500 costume that they sourced off of some custom costume
like Judge
place.
Dredd today.
Okay, or 500 is.
That's cheap.
That's cheap.
That's cheap
for a full-on pro cosplay. If you're wanting something like that.
Yeah.
And then you've got people that whipped up something with some, you know, they went to the fabric store, got some stuff out of the bargain bin.
Yeah.
And found someone who could help them sew. Or
I'm Tommy the Oily Rag.
Or God help No. I mean, God help them, you know, tried to learn how to sew themselves and make something up that
and made it happen. Yeah,
and you know they're out there, they're you know showing off their stuff in the crowd, and everyone's taking pictures with them. And
absolutely, and that's just it.
It's the whole spirit of that.
It's a fully supportive community.
Yeah,
it's absolutely amazing, and I love it. You know, because it is something that like. Geeks of the world have finally united. We realize the fact that we have the power. We're the ones that run the world. Without us, all technology will cease. So take that.
Right. Listen, case in point, are these really wicked looking Sora shoes? My youngest son, Andrew, last year.
I'm going to take a picture of those and post them up on the Dudes and Beer Facebook.
Take a picture of the one that's... well, don't take a picture right there, because that looks like crap.
You don't like the fabric softener in the background, bro? Called out live.
Look, there we go. Take a picture of the one that didn't break. This is a heartbreaking... heartbreaking
That's a good
story
shot right there. Hop onto Facebook, everybody. Go to the Dudes and Beer group. It is open. That is where this photo is about to be shared.
Yeah, I think they're a size 10.5. If you want them, let me know.
Yeah,
you can buy them for me for postage.
For cost and postage.
Well, no, you don't want to pay cost. Cause if I paid cost or charged somebody cost, you could go and buy a professionally made pair that don't look exactly like that, but. He wanted to be Sora from the Kingdom Hearts video games.
Yep.
Last year, and he had a Keyblade that he bought at a convention several years ago, and so we went online, found him a Sora costume because making one yourself is beyond my skill set. But I could buy him one.
Yeah. Buy him a decent one.
So we bought him that, and then it's like, okay, now we can buy these shoes. They sell Sora cosplay high tops on several different sites for anywhere from $100 to $150 bucks. And then I found a bunch of really cool tutorials online. I mean, I spent months watching tutorial videos and looking up forums and reading what people
say. I remember the planning that went into that.
Oh man, and you know, did everything by the book, and for an amateur, you did a great job. They came out great, but one thing I didn't have the experience with are the various different types of adhesives and all of that stuff.
Yep. Flexible adhesives, everything else.
So I built a lot of it over the course of a couple of weeks, and then right there the week of con, it was like, okay, it's go time. So there were several nights where, you know, I was up after hours doing these things, and even up until the 24 hours before the convention, Anyway, stuff didn't have time to set right and all that. The shoes looked badass.
My God, they look amazing.
We got to the convention, got out of the car in the parking lot, walked up to the parking garage and out onto the street, and one of the shoes fell apart.
Yeah, I remember it was like just before we walked in.
It was heartbreaking for me, but looking at his face and knowing he was going to have to go back down to the car and put on his regular tennis shoes. And thank God we brought a spare pair of tennis shoes.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was...
He still had a bunch of people that were wanting to take pictures with him. His costume, his wig, his huge kingdom key was it was baller. Yeah, and that's just sweet. It. Like, I mean, that year we even went as Men in Black.
Right.
And, it was funny because nobody really recognized who we were until we were walking together. Like, as soon as we were walking side by side, everyone was like, oh, check it out, it's the Men in Black.
Right.
Because they're never by themselves. They're always in a pair.
Right.
Yeah,
I
got Agent Smith so many times. And
right.
I'm like, I got this big silver laser gun that's literally shooting a laser on you. Like, I built it. It shoots a real laser. Like...
I got Agent Smith several times when I was walking around by myself. Yeah. And who's the assassin in the video game?
Oh, Hitman.
Hitman.
Yeah. I got that numerous times.
Oh, and Agent 47 or something?
Yeah.
Is there something else? I don't know. You wear a black suit and a black tie and sunglasses.
Yeah.
You could be any number of agents. Any number of whatever.
But it was great. It was super awesome. Once we were together, everybody wanted to take pictures with us. They were like, oh my God, it's Men in Black.
Yeah, we know who you are now.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's fun for me to remember back in the day, just like the half ballroom of the Holiday Inn Express.
Right.
And the only cosplay person was the dude that they hired that was Al Simmons.
Right.
that was in the Spawn costume with like the Spawn drag racer out in front.
Oh, I didn't go to that con. That must
you did.
Sweet.
That's the one where you got Spawn one side by McFarlane. You don't remember that?
I don't remember Spawn.
Yeah, that's where I got that Spawn button on my bag, dude.
I don't
that
remember
Spawn
the
button.
Being
yeah.
There,
It was outside. The big drag racer.
Nice.
Big old Spawn drag racer.
Well, I wish you should have tweeted it.
Yeah. In 1993. Just like that Mike Tyson fight with the cell phone.
That's right. AKA camera.
But I mean, it's so much fun. For me, it's going through comics, it's reliving memories, it's finding new treasures. Like even today, walking around, like my favorite thing, even looking at Nerds of Anarchy today, like Bob posting, hey, I'm not gonna lie, I'm on a budget this time. It was nothing but dollar bins. Mm-hmm. But to see some of the stuff that he found in the dollar bin is like, oh my! Like there in the dollar bin was a Flash that he's been searching for, and like asking people actively if they would trade, stuff like that. And even myself, like I picked up this weekend, I picked up a Silver Surfer 55 Universe According to Thanos. Yeah, that was like $2 or $3. I picked up a Superman #1. From 1987, and that was in the dollar bin.
Right.
I
got Silver Surfer #1.
You did?
I can't wait to read that.
For $5. That is one of the last ones that Stan Lee himself penned.
Yep.
Was that? It was shortly after that he dropped off from the writing. After that was Ravage. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like it just. Looking at stuff like that and seeing that experience and seeing kids go through it, seeing someone like Juliet's age,
right? Like
coattailing cosplayers and like, hey, can I take a picture with you?
Right. That was sweet.
Yeah. And seeing them rifle through because Billy has started her a collection of Wonder Woman and Huntress and things like that she likes, so that when she's older, she can look through them and everything else and appreciate them.
Right.
And I myself, like, through my long box, actually found some that, unfortunately, in the last big flood in Austin, were damaged by humidity. They were not in plastic, foolishly enough, over years. And literally out of, like, a whole long box, there were, like, 10 like that. And none of them were huge. Like, Huntress #1 is in there. Not a hugely valuable comic, but like, dude, damn it, that was my Huntress #1, man.
I know.
Now I gotta find me another one. But at the same time, bringing that comic that's just a little wavy on the cover, still openable, still readable.
Right.
It's one that she can now actually actively sit down and read without worrying about damaging it.
Speaking of #1s, if anyone out there...
Yes.
Eugene, I'm specifically talking about you.
Eugene Cantu.
Eugene Cantu.
You bastard.
I believe you've got probably my Infinity Gauntlet #1, and maybe Chris's as well. Because
give them both back, Gene. Or if you have it, contact me. Contact me.
Oh, man.
Not Randy. Me.
That was...
Infinity Gauntlet #1 was definitely the quest of quests this weekend because Joseph Rubinstein was there. He was signing.
Right.
He, of course, inked the Infinity Gauntlet series, which is an upcoming movie by Marvel. So it's getting to be in high demand, the whole Infinity Gauntlet saga. There was that one guy that literally did have a really good price. If I'd have had $75,
I know,
to just like dump on some comics today, I might have jumped on it. He had like the whole Infinity Gauntlet saga like wrapped in about a 1/4 inch of cellophane. Like it was.
Yeah,
it was secure from air and humidity,
right,
my friend.
Right.
It was wrapped
that
hardcore.
Thing was hermetically sealed.
Yeah, each one was like bagged and bound with a board, and then they were all bound together with like food grade. Not like, hey, I'm going to go to the store and buy some Reynolds wrap. Like, this is what they use in kitchens, like Cisco plastic wrap, son. Like, it was wrapped like 4 ways to Sunday. It was.
Yeah. No, that was a good price for all 6 of them.
Oh yeah, it was a really good price. It was more than fair, and at a con nonetheless.
Oh,
Con. Damn it! You're supposed to have that ready.
Okay, here it comes.
Oh, there it is. Oh. No.
I'll have it ready next time.
You gotta have that ready, bro.
I'm leaving. I finished my Abita grapefruit.
Oh yeah.
And I'm switching to a Zegan box now.
Grab me a Zegan as well. I've been drinking this Abita strawberry, and it is nice. It's nice and refreshing on this more than hot, like one of the first hot days we've had here in Texas. And
it's getting there.
Oh goodness Lord, it's insanity outside. When I walk outside and just almost think about having a panic attack just from the thickness of the air, like I got to find me some AC.
Right. Yeah, finding that Valiant table was pretty cool. This is the first time, and I don't know how long have we been going to conventions. These big ones, I guess 4 years now.
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
And hitting at least one or two of the big ones, big ones.
Yeah.
And I haven't bought a comic book since probably 1997, 8.
Yeah.
96.
Other than the ones you bought for the boys and you know Christmas gifts, things like that.
Yeah, but I mean those. Yeah.
Not for you though.
Yeah, right. I mean, I've not picked one up, and today though, because I know it's kind of the same reason why I don't put Doom or Quake on my computer and play them, because
you'll do nothing but play Quake and Doom.
That's right. So, but today walking into the seeing that Valiant table, with the guy there, and they had and saying here in the last couple of years they completely rebooted their universe, and so here are all you were a reader in the 90s. Well, here in the last year or two, we've rebooted everything.
They've rebooted Bloodshot. They've rebooted Ninjak. They've rebooted Exo Man of War. They rebooted Harbinger.
Yeah,
like
the whole thing. And so they had all those graphic novel compilations and at a great price. And you could get the entire current month run,
the entire first series run of all the new reboots for like $10 for 9 comics.
No, those were the current. This is everything that's released this month.
That's right.
Our 9, our 9 titles that we've released this month for $10. Well, hell
yeah. And then on top of that, the dude that did this one is sitting right there, so he can sign it for you.
Right. So, I started looking through the pictures. I'm like, oh, man. Okay, I'm going to get them. I'm going to read them. I'm going to get them. I'm going to read them. And so, yeah, it's like the first time in 20 years I've been getting to hold some comics in my hand and sit down and read them.
Yeah, and it's exciting. It's exciting. Like, I did the same thing because I haven't gone out and bought a comic to read in I don't know how long. Like, there are comics I know I'm looking for in life. There have always been my dream comics. Like I said, I actually want to pick up Billy's mantle and go for the comics of my birth year.
Right.
For all my favorites. Find all of them from every month of my birth year. That would be sweet. That's an honorable goal.
Yeah.
And at this point in life, I'm not going to lie, a lot of the newer art is not necessarily for me, especially with a lot of my classic titles like X-Men, Spider-Man, Batman, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I find it a bit too much in the anime vein sometimes.
I haven't looked at anything.
Yeah, and I'm not, I guess, that much of a huge anime freak. There are some anime movies that I like that are classic, like Akira and Vampire Hunter D. Mm-hmm. But to me, the crossover of art doesn't really mesh myself. I mean, I like even just sitting here looking at this Superman #1, like that's the comic book art that I like.
Yeah.
And like half the time I am buying it as a piece of art that I want to appreciate. Because, like I've said so many times, it is one of the uniquely American art forms.
Yeah, no, it is.
It started here, the idea of the comic strip and everything else, and the weekend, the daily funnies. So, to me, it's something that's different. And to see all of this stuff now transitioning into the Marvel Universe, to see the Marvel Universe that we kind of came up with in comic books being brought live to the screen.
Right.
Like going out and seeing X-Men Apocalypse. Mm-hmm. That was, I thought, fairly well done. Considering the fact that you took a pretty long story arc, you took something that was stretched across quite a little bit, and made it happen.
Right.
In the concept of, hey, you've never met an X-Man before in your life. Here's Apocalypse.
Right. Yeah, if you like, if you're a fan of the last two X-Men movies, First Class and Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
I really, really like those. I like the other ones too. The first three that came out because, X-Men were one of my all-time favorite comic book, characters. So to see them brought to life on the screen was pretty sweet. But they're the last, X2, X3 were kind of like, it's all right. But when
they kind of softball pitched Phoenix.
I wasn't happy with that.
Yeah.
X-Men First Class, I thought was really class. I thought that was the best out of all of it.
They did a good job. They did a really, really good job with that. Now, Days of Future Past was one of those that, to me, with the tangent timelines and everything else, and the characters that came about from that series, like Bishop. He's like one of my favorite characters, dude.
Right.
And he is like the crux. Him and Forge and Cable are like the crux behind Days of Future Past. There was no Cable, and there was no Forge, and Bishop's like, what's up? I'm Bishop.
Right.
You want to, like, absorb some power and blast your way through a wall or something, bro? Like, take a punch and bring it back 10 times stronger? Like, use your mutant ability. Use a huge blaster.
I know.
Do something like Bishop.
There were some faults in it, but...
Have a big old M on your face.
Right. There were some faults with it, but it was a good movie.
It was a good movie. And that's one of those moments where I would say my geekdom takes over, and it's like, I really want to see...
Right.
Like, hey, Mr. Movie Man, I'm sorry, but your storyboard was already done.
That's okay. I will say this, though. I'm glad there was no Cable.
Yes.
Because we're going to get Cable in Deadpool 2.
Yes.
And I would rather see Cable, one of my favorite characters.
Son named after him.
That's correct. Nathan Cable Jordan.
Yes.
I would rather see him introed in Deadpool 2, which was like the most phenomenal comic book movie ever.
I mean, I would have to hands down, as a grown ass person, and looking at the scope of things, looking at everything from Spider-Man back in the day in the Captain America movies to the failed original, Fantastic Four movie from Roger Corman, all the way to now. Looking over the way that the stories were told, the technology used, and everything else, I'd have to give it to Deadpool. As far as hands down, like best one, best done, truest to the character, truest to the storyline, and fulfilled the wishes and wants of the greater populace of its fans.
Right. Oh no, they completely pandered to their fan base.
Absolutely.
And that's what made it gold.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made it gold.
That is what made it gold. Like even just like the intro credits, were exactly like the other day I was looking through. I forget what it was. I think it may have been my signed X-Force Spider-Man, and you look at the stuff that like Liefeld wrote in there and things, and like the intros, and it's like so and so puts color on a page, like colors inside the lines. Everything instead of like inker, color, like he was doing stuff like that. So whenever you saw things like produced by some rich douchebag, like, like starring a CGI character, a pouty teen, like, oh my God, like, yes, that's even the coffee cup with Rob L written on it flying in the background. Yes, like all the little homages there to what Deadpool is were there. Right.
Well, out of the 4 comic book movies put out this year so far, is it 4? We've had Deadpool,
Superman, Batman,
Batman v Superman, Civil War, and
X-Men Apocalypse.
Thank you. X-Men Apocalypse. We've had those 4. Definitely Deadpool. Out of just complete Deadpool. Okay, I'm going to say Deadpool is number 1. Civil War is like right there, tied with it almost.
It was good. Civil
War was really good.
Now I've heard a lot of people say like, I wish there'd have been more characters. Like it didn't talk about like where was Hulk and I'm like, it's not a Hulk. It's not an Avengers movie. That's why Hulk isn't there. Right. It's a Captain America movie. Like the only reason that you're getting War Machine and these other dudes is because they're actively involved with S.H.I.E.L.D. all the time.
Right.
You're not going to get the other characters like Thor and Hulk until you have an Avengers movie.
Right. Well, and they mentioned their absence was noted.
Yes.
By
yes.
What's his name?
The General.
General Ross.
General Ross.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'd say Deadpool, Civil War, X-Men, and Batman v Superman somewhere down below there.
And, here's the thing about Batman versus Superman. It's been panned a lot. I thought for a tangent timeline movie, which it is. You
know what I felt like when I saw that movie?
What the hell is this movie?
No, I felt like this. Right.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, there were parts like my wife Amy, God bless her heart, I love her so much. She wants to know all these stories because it's amazing writing, and she thoroughly enjoys Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She loves Captain America. It's one of her favorite movies. Like anytime I want to put a movie on, I'm like, you want to watch Captain America?
Captain America.
Yes. It took her second time through to appreciate Deadpool. We watched it on the plane to Pennsylvania a couple weeks ago, and afterwards she was like, "Okay, I see where you're coming from now." I was like, "It's because there is so much going on in your first watching,
right? That
you ain't gonna catch it all.
No,
you ain't gonna catch it all,
right?
It's like watching Gangnam Style, but with a plot.
Yes."
Every time you watch it, you're going to see something like, where the hell did that come from?
Right. Oh, my God. Oh, man.
The lessons learned from Gangnam Style, everybody. keep them guessing, and just put everything you can in frame, just everything.
That's right.
And that's what they did in Deadpool. Like everything that you would ever want, like slow-mo blast scenes, like everything is in there. And yeah, for me, the Batman Superman was one that I don't know. It
was a hot mess.
I could see why people would say it's a hot mess, because if you're not aware of the time crisis, I've advised everyone that's like, I don't know, I've heard it's horrible. I'm like, okay, even whether or not you watch comic book anime or animation, go on to Netflix and watch the Justice League Time Crisis, and it will give you a scope of that entire storyline and what actually happens.
Oh, okay.
Because it's that whole series, it's that whole little jut off in that universe put into an animated movie.
Oh, cool.
And they do a really good job of explaining it and why it's all happening. And in Batman Superman, it was like, wait a minute, we once again for 15 minutes have to watch the friggin' Batman backstory, and then suddenly it's like, what's up, I'm Superman. What about his background story?
Yeah, we saw too much of that in Man of Steel.
Like
we saw way too much of that.
What the Shasta? Like, he gets nothing? We gotta watch the whole Batman thing and then watch him be raised through a well by a vortex of bats. Sorry! I don't care what suspension of disbelief you're trying to keep. That does not fucking exist.
Yeah, I know.
So, those things, and at one point, Amy, like, literally leaned over to me and she was like, hey, baby, in the comic books, are Metropolis and
Gotham,
in Gotham, like right across the river from each other? And I'm like, no, they're not.
I don't know. I think they are. I've heard people say they are. Actually, because I noticed that too. It's like, how come
they're just right across the river from each other, and neither one of them is aware of their own actions.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it is or not.
And if that's the case, fuck both of those dudes. Fuck both of you. You're just going to take care of that one city?
There's stuff going on over there. You can go give a hand.
Like, come on. You're Superman. You can't hop over the river?
Right. You're a reporter. You don't know what's going on over there?
Yeah. No idea what's happening in Gotham next door. None. My whole scope of coverage for the Daily Planet is this one city. That's it. So, moments like that, they get me, where it's like, even people that don't follow the comics are asking.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Those were all spoilers.
Oh, yes, they are spoilers. Sorry.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alerts. If
you have not seen Batman v Superman, Deadpool,
none of these things are huge plot clinches.
Or X-Men Apocalypse, go back like 10 minutes.
None of these things, that's right. Hop in your get to 88 miles an hour and go back by 10 minutes. You're all set. Now, I will say my one spoiler alert for X-Men Apocalypse is a little pudge with Psylocke. Well, I didn't see, and what there should have been along with that CGI team for her was maybe a garter team, or like a bodice team, something to like tie some of that in.
I did not notice that in the credits.
I didn't either. That's
see,
what I'm saying. There was no Psylocke Bodice Team Canada or anything like that in the second unit production team. And it probably should have been there on some of the... It was just on some of the angles, like straight on shots, you couldn't really see that much. But whenever she was like standing in that action pose and the lights hitting her at that crazy angle, like you could see the little roll. And I'm all right. But like I said, dude, it's a comic book movie. I'm really looking for that suspension of disbelief.
Right. Well,
airbrush
it. As a longtime X-Men fan, you're going to put Psylocke in a movie. Get it freaking right.
Get that right.
Get that right.
And granted, she's a younger Psylocke, so maybe she's an awkward phase Psylocke. ain't quite made it to that yet. She hadn't grown that extra 4 inches that she needed to be about 6 feet tall.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know,
her hair was like way too frizzy.
Yeah,
you know, put that
wasn't tied back.
Put that in the ponytail,
in, you know,
or thin it out or something.
Yeah,
you know, because it was just way too all over the place.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, come on now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was the wind blown in of the world, so you got to give him that. But once again, suspension of disbelief. That's what I'm paying for.
It's a comic book movie. All that spandex and stuff has to stay in place.
That's it.
Exactly. If that can stay in place in the comic book world,
second spoiler alert. Second spoiler alert.
Is it Jubilee?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not Jubilee.
Okay. We're gonna spoil Jubilee in a second.
No. No. Literally, it was they made Wolverine and Jean Grey creepy. They made Wolverine into a total creeper for like the few minutes that he was in the movie. It was like, oh my god, you're 15 and you're so hot right now. I'm
probably
like
17.
I'm like
in some countries.
I'm like 40. I'm obviously 48 years old and will not age from this point on. But oh my god, you're so hot right now. That was the only other spoiler alert I had.
Well, actually, his mutant healing factor had been in. That wasn't a part of the Weapon X program.
It wasn't.
He had that.
I understand that, but he stopped obviously at about 48. That's where it stopped in his age from that point on. Who knows? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's kind of where Hugh Jackman's at. Who knows? Go figure.
So, anyway, guys, literally. That's where we're at. It was so much fun. It was a great weekend all around. We had a great time. We loved it. It was fantastic. And that pretty much wraps it for this edition of the Dudes and Beer podcast. Unless you want to keep going. If you want to keep going, we can do another 45.
We can keep going.
All right.
Well,
here we go. Here we go. We're going to go to break, and we're going to come right back, everybody. Whenever we come back, we will finish up this episode of Wild Antics from the Space City Comicon.
Oh, wait. Here.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up?
Still here in the lair of Randy Jordan over here in the Jordan compound in Katy, Texas. I am Chris Jordan, your host. My guest, of course, is my good and awesome older brother, Randy Jordan.
Yeah.
And today we are talking about the awesome Space City Comicon. We are talking about comic book movies and everything comic book and geek that goes along with a Comic-Con and all that kind of stuff whenever we get back from this message from our sponsor. Do you love Halloween? Do you like DIY projects? ScaryDad.com is your one-stop shop for everything DIY, from projects and food recipes to book and movie reviews, as well as the awesomely awesome Scary Dad podcast. Halloween is not just a day on the calendar. It's a state of mind. So don't sit around wondering what you're going to do this holiday season. Log on to ScaryDad.com to join the mailing list. Get the latest ScaryDad.com news and updates, from projects and DIY videos to recipes and reviews. It's everything you've ever wanted in a DIY website and more. So stop on by and visit them online today. That's ScaryDad.com. Once again, that website is ScaryDad.com. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. ScaryDad.com, not ScaryDad.com.
That's right.
If you type that in, you will not get anything. So ScaryDad.com, that is my buddy Billy's website. He actually built us the Dudes and Beer table. He builds all kinds of stuff. If you go onto his website, you'll see all kinds of projects on Instructables, everything else. He's got all kinds of great stuff, and I love going to cons with him. It was always something that I wanted to do with him in high school, and our schedules never matched up. And to actually be going with him and his little girl now is phenomenal. I love it. Cool. It's absolutely great. And some of the other adventures that we had today, we actually got to spend a good amount of time talking with Doug Hazelwood.
Yeah,
and
that was cool.
That was incredibly awesome. He was a really cool guy. He has one of probably the best attitudes that I've seen in a long time about signatures. Because a lot of people charge for their signatures. A lot of people. I was talking about the Todd McFarlane show whenever we were in line, not even in line, just sitting there talking with him after his signatures, and I was like, I remember going to the Spawn signing after Spawn #1 and the release of the movie and everything else, and just seeing people literally bringing up like 30 issues of Spawn #1 to be signed. And it's quite obvious that you work for a comic book shop whenever something like that's happening. Right. And you can still do stuff like that, but like you got to pay for VIP passes and things like that, and you're limited to a certain number. And
I don't dig that.
I'm not a big fan of it either. Like he signed 3 for me, and I was like, would you mind terribly signing the rest of the run, like the other 3? And he was like, no, absolutely, give them to me. Like, in my opinion, if you supported the comic books for that long and you own these, you've already paid me.
Well, and I'm going to give you my opinion. I don't, whether you want it or not. But,
no, that's
and to the dear listeners of Dudes and Beer, if you're one of the people that bring up 30 copies of one issue,
screw you, dude.
Yeah,
You're number one. You're part of the problem with the market.
What that? I mean, it's a very obvious sign that you're not a fan.
Yeah,
you're there because you and it's almost, in my opinion, an insult.
It's a degradation.
It's an insult to the artist.
Yeah,
because when you bring up 20 or 30 copies, and I've seen people do it.
Oh, no. Okay? I've seen them do it, too.
You bring up 20 or 30 copies of the same thing.
Yeah.
Then what that tells that person is you are only worth your signature to me.
Yes, exactly.
Okay? That's the only thing. Your signature, your art, your philosophy, whatever, means nothing to me. All I want is your name and ink on these 30 books so that I can turn around and sell them.
That don't mean anything to me.
Right. They're not good. I mean, one might go up on their wall, maybe. Yeah.
Excuse me.
But the other 29, all I'm going to do is turn around and sell it.
Yeah.
And they're not, they're not naive. They know people are going to come up, get their stuff, probably sell them and all that. Well, but when you bring up to an artist 5 or 6 different books, and you can sit there and tell them, man, these books meant something to me.
Yeah, well, like I said with Joseph Rubinstein today, where it was like, yes, I did have 7 books for him to sign. I should have bummed a couple more bucks from you and had my Spider-Man 26 signed, some stuff like that.
Right.
But I found the 3 to me, 2 of them that I already had signatures on. Of course, it was the Chris Claremont epic one that I was talking about, 234. Uncanny X-Men, where Wolverine gets infected by the Brood.
Right.
On top of that, I wanted Infinity Gauntlet #1. Be damned where the hell it went. So I brought the next best thing, Infinity Gauntlet #2.
Part 2.
And I brought Silver Surfer #3.
Yeah.
Which I already had Marshall Rogers sign years and years ago. And now I have his signature on it. So to me, it's much more sentimental to me as a collector and someone who has these for years to have 2 of the people's signature on it.
Sure.
Than to pay him $2 to have a spurious signature on something else.
That tells me, this book, this story, whatever, the art that's in here, whether it's the art of the writing, the art of the pictures, the art of the inks, this or the art of the cover.
Yeah.
This book means something to me, and it means something to me so much so that I want all of these people's names on it.
That's it.
And I want to be able to go up to them and tell them, you know what, this book was important to me.
That's it.
It sparked something at a particular time in my life. Whatever, not here's 30 copies. Just put your name on here because I got to go hit the next booth.
Yeah. Here's Infinity Gauntlet 1 through 6.
Right. All you are is a commodity, commodity to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why people like Rob Liefeld, hey, I'll sign any 3 comics for free.
Right.
You want me to sign New Mutants 87 first appearance of Cable.
Right.
You know, where even
It's
the
like
gold,
$10
even
or
the gold
whatever.
edition cover is, I think it was 10. It was 10 or 15. I think it may have been 15 to have 87 signed, because there was some other stuff that he was like, yeah, you know, it's like $5. But 87 and the first appearance of Deadpool were both like $15 to have signed. Because, hey, you're looking at the first appearance of Deadpool,
and you know what,
being worth like $100 on its own. Now you have Rob Liefeld's signature on it.
Right.
Like it's
And
astronomical.
I don't know why I didn't bring New Mutants number 87. I've got the gold cover. Why didn't I bring that to have that sign?
Well, you've got the real cover.
No, the real cover back in the day was were like 80. Even back in the early 90s was listed for like.
I thought you had both. I thought you had both of that.
No,
yeah.
I always had the reprint.
Wow, you didn't have 87 signed. Mm-mm. I did. I that was one that I was like, yeah, I'll totally pay the money to have 87 signed. I don't know why I didn't do that. Yeah.
But I did bring 3 copies of oh geez, I can't remember what it was now.
Well, you brought over the X-Force Spider-Man crossover, which was the last one that him and Todd McFarlane did before they left and started up Image.
That's when I got Todd McFarlane's signature on as well.
Yep. Exactly. That's one of your only double signature books. That and X-Men #1.
X-Force #1.
Yep.
I had. I mean, it's still in the plastic package.
Still in the Velo wrap.
It's got the free official Marvel superhero trading card enclosed, available only with this collector's edition. I had like 5 of these that I bought. Yeah. So I made sure that I gave one to each of my kids, just to get signed. Yeah. You know. But.
Yeah, and to me, that's what the search for signatures is about.
Right.
Honestly, I had a great. I've always typically had a good experience at the signing table. You know, I heard some stuff about Rubenstein being a little cranky. Hey, man, you know, you fly across the country, you do these things all the time. You've earned the little right to be cranky a little bit. You know, like I do corporate AV, and I know what horror show setting up a booth can be. And whenever you're by yourself and you're the one doing it.
Well, and you know, let's be honest here, because there were no huge lines. It wasn't like there was a Jim Lee or Rob Liefeld.
Exactly.
But the thing is, most of these guys were inkers. Yeah. These were the guys that...
there were very few artists. Most of them were inkers and stuff like that.
I mean, not a lot of creators.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. You didn't have guys like Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane. You didn't have those guys there. Yeah. You had the guys that did inking and all of that,
which are really the guys like Hazelwood was saying. Yeah, I can draw, and people ask me to draw a comic book, and I'm like, I can do it, but it's going to be rough. He's much more into the inking and bringing that to life, right? You know, making it pop off the page. And I was asking him, like, are you like some artists, especially in the coloring field, where like you started off in the corporate advertising world? Because a lot of the times, especially the colorists and inkers, that's where they started, was like in corporate advertising, you know, doing that kind of stuff. And he's like, yeah, you know, I have a commercial art degree, and that's what I went to school for, was that. And then I ran into this. Yeah. And this, like, you know, it ended up being a great career. You know, I got to work on Superman. I got to work on The Flash, which, you know, interestingly enough, was the comic book that got him into comic books. Right. And thinking about that, and then he later on got to work on The Flash. And he was like, that to me was probably the biggest, because that's always one of my favorite questions. It's like, of your whole oeuvre, what's been your favorite? What's been your baby? You know, what was it that you really latched onto and were like, this was mine? And he was like, my dad was even, and like, he's an older guy. Yeah. And his dad was like, oh yeah, you know, you got to ink Superman. That's pretty cool. And he's like, yeah, but the Flash. But the Flash, Dad. Right. You know, like, here's a dude that grew up quite obviously with like Action Comics and, you know, everything else in his life. And it was the Flash that sprung him. It was the Flash that brought him in. So hearing those little stories are a huge part of it to me. Yeah, no, and you know, I loved it, and yeah, I enjoyed sitting there at his booth, which was really weird because here's a guy that inked some of probably the most
commercialized Superman stories.
The death and rebirth of Superman?
Right.
Like...
Right, yeah. I mean, that was... here's this guy,
that ruled the 90s.
He's not on Artist Row.
No.
He's way, kind of in
He's
the middle.
tucked away in between a beater and, like, somebody selling their own versions of art.
Right.
Some of it, like, versions of his inking.
Right. And, he's sitting over there with his wife at this little, 6x6 booth.
Yeah.
And he's got 4 prints for sale.
With a Post-it note for a name tag so people know who he is. And a Hawaiian shirt.
Right.
Like.
And he's way off nowhere. And I didn't catch the whole story, but he was working some regular Joe job. It's not like he's sitting in a corner glass-lined office penciling, or coloring in comic books every day.
Yeah.
He just got a regular job, and here's a guy that's obviously got some
clout in the industry.
Some pretty good chops.
Yeah.
And I felt compelled at that moment, after spending the money that I did on the books that I bought, which I never buy. I felt compelled at that moment to buy 3 of his prints that he had there.
And then he signed them.
Yeah.
Like, no question. Like, why would you not want me to sign these?
Right.
Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the attitude behind it. And especially you.
And I was like, sweet. I've got these 3 books. I'd like or 2 books I'd like you to sign. How much are your signatures? He's like, what? I don't charge anything for that. Yeah. I was like, what? Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, after hearing him talk, spending time with him, his whole personality, I'm like, you know what? Hell yeah, I'm gonna buy 3 of your prints, and they're really awesome prints.
Yeah.
And I mean, something that I want to, I want to give these pictures dignity by framing them,
exactly,
and putting them out, not in my lair here in my office.
No.
I mean, these are going to be framed and put out in my house somewhere because
they're beautiful.
They're really
beautiful.
Really nice.
The colors are just, and they are. That's what's amazing. It's like, because of course you're my brother. Like, we went to our first con and we'll go to our last con together. Con, but your phone is locked. Look at you. Bring it.
Oh.
We went to our first, and we'll probably go to our last together. I will probably put at least like a Mr. Marvel card in your pocket of your suit before you go into the ground.
If you don't,
you'll be upset.
You know what? I want you to take my
your obelisk of a coffin.
I want to be buried in an obelisk. Not in the ground. I want to be in the obelisk.
Erected.
Yes, like 2001 status, And everyone bring a femur with you and shake it.
That's right. In Kubrickian glee.
Wave it in Kubrickian glee. In the words of Dennis
Miller.
Dennis Miller, yeah. God. Dang, Dennis Miller.
Going back to the 90s.
That's right. Dennis Miller was awesome.
I mean, to me, the artists are what it's about. Like, going and meeting them, hearing their stories. I mean, hell, that's half the reason that I've started my podcast, is because I love to hear people's stories. Like, I love to hear how people got to where they are.
Right.
I love to hear the fact that, Doug Hazelwood, in his twilight retirement years, has taken a Joe job.
Right.
And he does this on the weekend. Yeah, like he's working at a pharmacy. Like, here's one of the best inkers in the industry that's done some of the best shit in the world. And he's working a pharmacy, and he's happy. He's all right.
Right.
I don't know if he's absolutely happy, but he's doing all right.
Right. Well,
him and his wife go to cons and they sign stuff. I mean, even the original artist for Captain America was there today. Bellman.
Yeah.
And his wife was there dressed up.
Right.
Next to him,
working
the tables. And then to see stuff like Liam Sharp, one of the artists of Wonder Woman, not the creator, but one of the artists along the timeline. And like we were saying, Billy has taken to building a collection for his daughter, and a lot of them are female-based comics. Huntress, Wonder Woman is a big one. Juliet Wint is Wonder Woman today.
Right.
She loves Wonder Woman. She loves Justice League. She won as Hawk Girl last year. Rave reviews. That was one of the many projects that Billy had featured on Instructables from Scary Dad, was her costume.
Right.
And the mace. And early in the day, of course, you go down Artist Row, you scope where things are, you get your things signed, you move on. If you find some other stuff, you come back and get it signed.
Right.
Juliet saw this print from Wonder Woman, black and white, beautiful, beautiful,
I don't know
detailed
if we've said
print.
People, but Juliet's like 6'5".
Yeah,
6.
she's like smooth 6.
Yeah,
gotta be. And she had the presence of mind early on to be like, I want that, Dad. And of course, Dad's being responsible. Baby, there's a lot to see.
Right.
There's plenty of those. We'll see what there is to see. There are purses, there's jewelry, there's other artwork. And man, as we went through booths all day, he'd point out a Wonder Woman print, like, what about that one, baby? No, I like the other one. I like the other one over there.
Right.
I like that other one I saw. And man, come the end of the day, that's when you go buy your artwork, so you're not carrying it around all day with you, stuff like that.
Yeah, we walked around 4 hours straight.
Oh, God.
Non-stop.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Non-stop.
Yeah.
4 hours.
And, we went back to Liam Sharp's table, and he's like, oh, my God, it's for you. What's your name, sweetheart? She's like, Juliet. So he signs it like, for Juliet,
right,
and puts her name there. We move over to Joe Juska's table. And I wish I'd have known. I guess I knew he was going to be there, but I didn't even think to go through some of my comics and find some of the shit that he'd done. And while we're there, Billy's picking out a print, and she's like, oh, Dad, I can't wait to get home and color that.
Right.
And he's like, oh, we'll talk about that, sweetheart. And I looked at Juska's wife, and I'm like, conversation's over. Like, that's that's not happening. Liam Sharp just signed that. You're not coloring Jack. And while they're there and he's picking out his art and talking to Joe Juska and everything, like, I guess Juska's wife mentioned something to him, or he overheard it, and literally, like, looked at Billy and was like, hey, take another one of these prints so she has one to color.
Yeah, that's
and it's
classy.
like, dude,
that's
classy.
My
God, that's so classy.
Yeah, that's something
like,
he could have sold. He could have
sold that all day long for $20, dude. And he just gave it to like a 5-year-old girl so she could, because it was obvious. She came by earlier in the day. She wanted it. The only reason she wanted that all day long was because it was in her brain to color that.
Right.
It was in her brain that, like, I'm going to get that and I'm going to color it and it's going to be mine and that's going to be awesome. And he saw that and he fed it.
Yeah.
And that's just, oh, what a beautiful beast to feed.
Right.
Like.
Yeah, no, that's classy. That's real classy.
And that's just it. Hearing those stories, seeing those kind of things happen, like, that's what makes the moment magical.
Right.
And, like, I guess I had a little magical moment myself today with an artist. Not just
Make you tingle.
Doug Hazelwood. It did make me tingle, especially in the bathroom.
Oh.
I'm not even going to lie. It really made me tingle in the bathroom. I went... I took it there.
Yeah, no, I know you did because I was there. You were there
in the bathroom with me.
I was there in the bathroom with you when it
creepily happened and started tingling.
When it started tingling,
so,
I was there. I witnessed it.
One of the people I was looking forward to all day, and I got there. I was with my buddy Israel and his local Star Trek fleet. They have a table every year for recruitment and everything, and I let them borrow some gear for interviews, so they gave me a pass. It was quid pro quo, and I went and checked them out, and I was there before they opened the convention center, of course, so I got a really good walk around and layout of the place. And one of the things I saw that I really wanted to meet was Daryl McDaniel. The DMC of Run DMC, D being his first initial MC for Mick, Run DMC. He is the DMC for Run DMC, and he has this new comic out that is literally about an inner city guy who is a hero out saving people at night.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it's sick. He had his armor on and everything. It's great. It's called DMC. And Like, I went up and I was straight with him. Bring it. Bring me some Run, dude. Bring me some Run DMC. Yes. And not a lot of people know, this is actually the song that rebirthed Aerosmith's career. Ah, yeah. This was like the rebirth of their career. They had really screwed up. They were hardcore into drugs and everything else and were dropped from their label until this remix happened and they appeared in the video with Run DMC, rebirth of a career.
Right.
Things like that. And to actually be there and be talking with Daryl McDaniel. And I walked up, I was straight with him. I was like, hey man, I've been waiting to meet you all day. I wish to God I had some money to buy a t-shirt or something like that and get a photo op with you. I'm not here for your merch. I'm not here for your signature. I'm not here for a photo op. I'm here to shake your hand. Because of songs like that. Because of things like that. I had heard Aerosmith in my life. And when that song came out, it was right at the cusp in the beginning of a lot of the hip-hop industry in America.
Yeah.
And stuff like Run DMC, the Ghetto Boys, Boogie Down Productions, Public Enemy, those were just coming out. And they were a voice that did not exist yet. That came a little bit later, but they brought something else to the table musically, and it spoke to me somehow. There was something that was very guttural and real about it. It wasn't polished like the rest of pop music, like right. Cyndi Lauper, or even one of my favorite, even one of my favorites, Huey Lewis. Like, sorry, there is so much spit and polish on those mixes, but you hear that, man, and it's as raw as it gets. There's one dude with two turntables and two dudes with mics. Hit it.
Right.
And what happens. And that's how I am with my music. And I was like, I want you to know that you changed a life. Because of people like you doing what you did, I got into music. And that is what made me want to be an audio engineer. That's what brought me down the path that I'm on in my life right now, is people like you. And I want you to know that, like, you changed a life. You made me realize that what I was into could be attainable as a career.
Right. And you told him all that while he was in the bathroom stall.
Before we went to the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
Before we went to the bathroom, while I was shaking his hand and you were checking out the books, the Valiant table and everything. Right. That's when I was telling him. Then we went out to the lanai, to the back lanai of the Georgia, or not the George R. Brown, but the NRG Stadium. Had a cigarette, came back in to use the bathroom, and as I go to wash my hands, there's Daryl McDaniel, and he's like, "Hey, it's you again. How you doing, buddy?" And I'm like, "Doing all right." He's like,
"Right.
So tell me a little bit about that podcast you were talking about." And I'm like, "Well, it's Talking Sound. I started it a couple years ago. Used to be a teacher." And I just want to share my knowledge in the industry and let people know out there that you can do what you love. It's possible. You may have to sacrifice a little bit in life, but you can do what you love. You can make your love your mission in life. And I love hearing people's stories. I love hearing how people got to where they are. Stories like Doug, who started off going to school and getting a degree in commercial advertising and art, and started inking comic books instead.
Right.
Those turns in life, those pivot points are what's essential. And I was like, even myself being born and bred on rock and roll as an audio engineer, I did video and stuff like that for years as well. But I moved to Austin, Texas, the home of live rock and roll in America, and I knew more corporate video work than I do anything else, and I love it.
Right.
And this passion has led me down the road of another passion, which has become a career. And not many people know how to tie those webs together. Not many people know how to see that bridge in front of them and how to cross it. And I love talking with people like you who have crossed that career and have now turned to a whole new genre to get the same message out to kids.
Right.
To get them into reading, to get them to understand that they can be a hero on their own street, that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And it was kind of touching when he was like, hey, I know I gave you that card earlier with some contact info, but if you got a piece of paper and a pen, I'll give you my email address. Let's talk. I totally want to do your podcast. Yeah. It was like, oh my God, dude! Did I just get his personal email address?
Yeah, you did.
Yes, I did.
I saw it.
Yes, I did. And then even talking to the people from NASA about the same thing, and they're like, absolutely, contact us here. We'd love to do an episode on it. That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
And those are the things that happen at events like that.
We need to get Doug McDaniels on Dudes and Beer.
Daryl McDaniel?
Daryl McDaniel. I'm thinking of Doug.
Yes,
Doug
I know. They're written right there on the same
know.
piece of paper
Yeah.
next to each other. And
Yeah, DMC.
Well, and I was saying that because, especially being involved in the hip-hop movement and everything else, it's definitely a culture that has been usurped in America. And it's something that, has came about with all good intention and has really kind of gone this other direction.
Yeah, it's been corporatized.
Yeah.
It's been taken over by the corporations. It's been commercialized.
There's a reason why people like the No Longer With Us run became a reverend.
Yeah.
Because they were moved by that in one point in life, and they see that this industry that they helped forge has turned into something that is not what they were about.
Right.
And they need to change that, man. And they come to a whole new mission in life whenever they find themselves, because just because you find money doesn't mean you change who you are as a person.
Right.
Just because you find success doesn't mean that's how you define yourself as a person. And to see someone like that who did have success, who had that big success, who had that big break, who had that big signing, who was a movement, and he's totally turned on the head of a dime and gone a different direction because that's what he feels, that's what he's passionate about. Like, that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. And that's what I love about Comic-Con. Like, you see people that are 5 years old dressed up, and you see, like, lawyers that are dressed up.
Right.
And it's a true melding of all cultures. Like, there are people from all cultures there. Like, there were librarians over at the Valiant table.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, while I was waiting on you to come meet me and Billy over there, that was kind of the rally corner all day.
Right.
Yeah. But while I was there buying my 9 comics for $10, he was actively talking to like 2 librarians who were there because, hey, comic books and graphic novels are a great way to get high school kids who don't want to read, like this kid.
Right.
I didn't like reading. I told them straight up, like, I love it. I love the fact that y'all are trying to bring these into a school. Because people like me, this is what I read. This was my leisure reading.
Right.
If it had you given me To Kill a Mockingbird in graphic novel form,
right,
totally different.
Right. Yeah, right.
Instead, I went with the Gregory Peck version.
Right.
And that's what I did my report off of. Because I didn't finish reading the whole thing. By the time I got 3/4 of the way through, for me, it was a yawner.
Right.
Unless it was a book on lasers or rockets or rocks and minerals or something, or amulets and talismans, I was not into it. That wasn't my normal checkout. Felt like you were the Cujo reader, like you were the one that checked out novels and shit like that. Like if we both went to Spring Branch Public Library and looked at our rental cards, like, right. Oh my God, dude, like you would have like all these novels and shit. I might have some like Little Eddie books about him and Gardenia, and other than that, it's all like instructional shit.
Gardenia, is that his goat?
That is his goat. That was Little Eddie's goat. That's right. Cheers for that.
Oh, man.
I did like some Little Eddie books.
Just out of nowhere.
I'm not gonna lie.
Out of nowhere.
I'm not gonna lie. I heard my first Little Eddie story in 2nd grade, and I was hooked. Him and that damn goat, dude. He got into more stuff than like Huck Finn and the Delphine.
Right.
You know, like
that's the thing. You know, when not to discount the value of literature. And,
not at all.
And anything like that, but when it comes down to it, you know, that was an interesting point. You know, okay, you got To Kill a Mockingbird, it's an American classic. You know,
gotta read it.
If you're a junior in high school, you gotta read it.
You're reading it.
You know, there's an American classic, and then I don't know if there's a graphic novel version of it or not.
There is. They told me there was. I was like, damn it, where the hell was that in 1991?
Right.
I could have used that.
You know? Okay, you've got... the funny thing is, I know there's a lot of people that would scoff at that and say that's not the literature, you know? You've got to read...
It's an adaptation of the literature.
Well, I understand. And... I guess the thing I have to ask is, who cares?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You're reading the story. You're reading what's happening with the characters. You're getting the dialogue. And for some people that need the pictures are there.
And no offense, it's more than likely going to be changed a whole lot less than that movie version.
Oh, yeah. Movie versions are, you know, changed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean... What difference does it make? You're getting the themes, you're getting the characters, you're getting, hopefully, and I'd say probably, the same message that the original piece meant to convey.
Yeah.
So what the hell's the difference? Now, sometime down the road, you know, if that story engages that person, they may go back to the original literature and check it out.
Exactly.
You know?
Because, hey, man, I'll admit, like, even now as a 40-year-old, dude, unless it's an instruction manual or some, a how-to on how to change some web code or something, I'm not going to say I'm going to sit back and read a novel most of the time.
And, you know, if you got to cross a river... You can use the stepping stones to get across. You can use a bridge. Use a tightrope.
You could use a freaking pole vault.
Right.
Get across the river, bro. Did you get across the river?
The point is get across the river.
Yeah.
You know, and the same thing is with reading literature, comic books, graphic novels. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, if you've got a TV or a computer turned off and you know, okay, you got your Kindle or whatever. You know, I don't care. I've never gotten into the Kindle thing. I want a piece of paper in my hand.
Yes.
You know, I want a book. I want a cover. I want that experience with the actual.
Well, and a prime example, believe it or not, this last week. I mean, some of the only novels that I've read, you've given me, Jerry. Mm-hmm. Good God, the number of times that I've read To Reign in Hell, and I cannot wait until the day they turn that into a friggin' movie.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God, the day they turn Stephen Bruce To Reign in Hell into a movie, I will dance with joy.
Right, you hear that, Stephen Bruce? Anything written.
Anything.
You know?
And, you know, I read the whole Morgar series from Terry Brooks, which is being made into a series on MTV right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, hopefully they don't mung that up.
What series is that?
That is from the Terry Brooks Elfstones of Shan-Ra series.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, they're turning the whole Shan-Ra Morgar series into a television series. I'll take one of those beverages.
On MTV?
On MTV, yeah.
You want a Shiner blonde or you want the Ziegenbach?
I'll go for a blonde. Give me a blonde. I feel young again.
There you go. Get you a blonde.
And, you know, to me, it literally is... Yeah, give me that. I'm not done with that. Is this a bar? You got to give me one at a time?
One at a time.
I missed that trash can totally.
That's okay.
But You know,
a lot of things miss that trash.
One of my favorite novels ever that you gave me, and series of books ever, is The Incarnations of Immortality by Piers Anthony. We both have. I have issues 1 and 2. You have 1 through 3 of On a Pale Horse.
The graphic novel, yeah.
Yeah, but if you go through and read those, it's the book. Like, they did a really good job of bringing that book to life.
It's really true to it, yeah.
You know, and just going off on that little tangent, you know, between books, graphic novels, movie.
Yeah.
You know, even Watchmen, if you go through and look at that.
Right. Well, here's the thing. In a page of a graphic novel, one page of a graphic novel, you can get through
10 pages of
a book.
Yeah.
And not to discount the value of the printed word, it's to highlight the fact that so much, and it's an art form, people. There's no difference between.
No, there's a reason why movies are storyboarded the way a comic book is. That's why I'm like, hey, dude, 3/4 of your job was done. Make this frame real.
Right.
Tie in 20 seconds between that frame and that frame. You're done.
Right.
Scene.
In 6 or 8 frames on a comic book page or graphic novel panels, thank you. 6 or 8 panels of a comic book page, you can convey as much information as you can in half a dozen pages of script.
Yeah.
Okay. Just by picture nuance, facial features and whatever's happening on that page. It's beautiful. It's art.
Oh, it is, and that's just it. It's high art to me because it's emotive art. It's emotive art. It's moving art. Like, you have to convey motion in something that is sitting still, and like motion. Right. Like, I am angry and ticked off. I want to destroy your world right now because of what you did to my wife. And I have a panel to show that. They just died in panel 3. Here's panel 4. Panel 5, you're dead.
Right.
And you need to express all of that in one hand motion and one facial expression with no words.
Right.
And yeah, it is the cinematic art form on paper.
Here's 3 paragraphs of exposition, or a panel.
Good guy, go read some Peter Benchley, man. I challenge you to read the book Jaws, and then watch the movie Jaws.
Right.
Even the extended version of Jaws, which I own on Blu-ray, got it for my wedding because I asked for it.
Nice.
But even if you watch the extended version, you don't get a spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. In the book, there is an affair between the sheriff's wife and the doctor.
Oh.
Not shown in the movie, but you really understand the angst between the sheriff and the doctor a whole lot more.
Yeah,
knowing that subtext that they had a little fling, kind of gives you a little broader scope as to what's going on that screen. And Peter Benchley is one of those that gets into detail of detail, much like Stephen King. Like, there's a reason why his books are 4-finger thick.
Right.
When the movie's an hour and a half.
I tell you what, though, I can't. I've never read, and probably because I'm mostly intimidated by them, I've never read any of the Dark Tower series.
Yeah, and the movie's coming.
I know.
The movie's coming.
I really can't wait now that I cut my teeth. I think we've talked about that phrase before.
Yeah.
I cut my teeth on in the 80s watching Stephen King movies.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Every Stephen King movie
Dude, he ruled the 80s. If you go and look at his IMDb, there were years where he had 3 movies coming out.
Right.
3 movies,
it's insane. And I'm really looking forward to seeing The Dark Tower.
Yeah.
A lot of his stuff that was put on screen was really kind of cheesy.
Tell you what was really good was 10/12/62 or 63.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's on Hulu.
Right.
It's on Hulu. I remember I sent you my Hulu pass because I was like, you need to watch this. Mm-hmm. Like, I sent you my password, and you do need to watch it. I've got
a membership.
So well done. So well done. And I didn't read the book. Amy did. And she was like, "Oh my God, it's like they cut some stuff because they have to. Otherwise, it's going to be like another 5-6 episodes.
Right.
Because he goes to the past, comes back to the future numerous times, and resets the clock. But it's basically about this dude who, in of course a Maine coffee shop, has to be in Maine because it's a Stephen King.
Right.
His buddy owns this coffee shop, and come to find out, a closet in his buddy's coffee shop goes back to 3 years before Kennedy was assassinated. Dallas, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Drops you there. Bam. And if you go back to that spot and start walking, you'll end up back through the coffee shop like nothing ever passed. So his whole mission is to actually go back and stop the assassination of President John F. Kennedy.
Right.
That's his whole thing. That's what this dude's been trying to do, and he passes it on to him, and hijinks ensue, is all I can say. The story is very well woven, very well done. Just brilliance on Stephen King's part, on the part of Hulu for producing it, everything. It was really, really well done. It was really good. And I can't wait to see it come back out.
Yeah, I'd like to see that redone.
It's going to be good. We've got a lot of good movies coming up that are based on novels and comic books that are coming out. And it's going to be so great to see the Justice League individual movies leading to a Justice League movie, to see the unification of the Marvel Universe in the Infinity Gauntlet series.
Right. You know, and that's something that it blows my mind. I've not really thought about the full-on huge implications of it.
Yeah.
But how much this whole phenomenon has exploded.
Oh, yeah.
And
no, it's totally mainstream.
What was something that was relegated to, you know,
the back hallways of the high school.
You know, something that was so put down, something so looked down upon, has become the biggest money-making cultural, pop culture phenomenon in the last 50 years. Exactly.
And that's just it. And, there's only one way to put it whenever you're talking about it. And that's the fact of there is nothing like a con. Nothing like a con, ladies and gentlemen. And on that note, I'm going to tell you right now, that is it for this episode of Dudes and Beer. I am Chris Jordan, your host. This is Randy Jordan, our guest. We are here at the Jordan Compound. Thank you so much for tuning in. Keep tuning in. Dudesandbeer.com. Come by and check us out.
Peace out, people.
Peace out. If you can't be good at it.
That's right.
Cheers.
Go to a Comic-Con.
Yeah. You've been listening to the Dudes and Beer podcast. Visit us online at www.dudesandbeer.com. Find our audio streams on soundcloud.com and spreaker.com/Dudes and Beer. Follow us on Facebook /Dudes and Beer. Thanks for listening, everybody. And until next time, drink responsibly.